I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now, that I believe this entire thing with these girls suddenly breaking up with their boyfriends because they're Trump voters or they're slightly somewhat conservative or, oh, that's right, calling off a marriage because the guy's not down with BLM. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. I believe this entire thing is nothing more than just a great big giant psyop. And I'll explain to you guys why that is the case over the course of this video. But first, let me show you some of the crazy that's been going on online about this very topic.
Year-old man and he's single. There's a fucking reason that he's single. But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like what makes you, economically Republican? Because like I could give you a whole bunch of fucking facts right now that prove that you shouldn't be. And he was like, bah, 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 bah. All of his info was from his friends. And
my husband ever asked me what was for dinner, assuming that I was going to make it for him, immediate divorce.
Do you consent to a second date?
Do I have a last question that I can ask?
Sure.
Okay, plot twist.
Let's go for it.
It's like bonus rounds.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for
MAGA man's worst nightmare. Like, keep those cowboy hats and those little boots away from me, baby boy. I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I'm divorced, I'm a liberal, I don't go to church, I don't cook. I'm a nurse who believes in vaccination and modern medicine. Like, you don't, like, keep that yeehaw away from.
If you watched the previous video, chances are you're probably going to recognize the blonde-haired girl with glasses. We're going to touch back on her in a second as well, and I'm going to kind of rehash some of that. But, of course, before we fully dig into this and I explain to you guys why I think this is a psyop, make sure you guys, once again, check and double check. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. YouTube has a habit of unsubscribing people. Also, something else, too. These types of videos are rare for this channel. I typically tend not to focus on this type of subject matter, but I want to kind of start this week out with it because, well, two reasons. Number one, I meant to post it on Saturday, and number two, to go on top of that, I was waiting on a little bit more information before I decided to do this video, and of course that information is there, and I've kind of decided to break this entire situation up into two separate videos. The previous video that was released will be linked in the description box as well as the end cards where I talk about why it is that you can't change crazy. I'm going to be going through some of that stuff again over the course of this video. But still, though, make sure you guys are subscribed. Please hit the like button for the algorithm so that way the video stands a better chance of going up the algorithm. And let us go ahead and get to it. So, if you guys remember, and I hadn't do a video on this, but other people have obviously done videos on this. The stuff that you guys are seeing right here in the B-roll footage is from the show Love is Blind. And apparently, one of the females on the show chose to end it because, well, her guy wasn't exactly down with the whole BLM stuff. I may have to put a header over this because of copyright, but let me play this for you guys.
Hope I made the right decision.
Hi guys.
Oh my goodness.
Love you.
We
guys
love
too.
you.
Yeah. It was a lot, but we're rolling with it. I just want to talk to her. Yeah.
Was it like the time frame? I mean, I knew the whole time coming into this, the time frame, like that's not, like I feel like I know him. Like really. Yeah. Like I remember, like I asked him about like Black Lives Matter and I'm no expert, but like when I asked him about it, he was like, I guess I never really thought too much about it. That affected me, especially in our own city. Like how could it not? How did it not make you think about something? Like,
politics sounds like a very dumb reason to end it with people, but then again, though, at the same time, there was also this bit here that had also occurred not too long ago, actually last weekend, where apparently this same situation came up again.
Do you consent to a second date?
Do I have a last question that I can ask?
Sure.
Okay, plot twist.
Let's go for it.
It's like bonus rounds.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for the Trump cabinet. But with that comes a lot of things, like a cabinet that has...
A cabinet? I can't! Oh, heart is broken. I enjoyed my evening with you, but I have to stick to my morals and my principles in democracy.
What a plot twist.
The crowd has turned into Jerry Springer up in here. This is hilarious.
Fight.
All right. Well, Lisa, thank you so much.
So
Look
welcome.
Listen, everyone's got to stick to what they believe in.
Whoa.
Eric, are you surprised with how this went?
Not really.
No? Were you expecting something like this?
I kind of seem like they were all.
I don't want to piss off the very small percentage of the ladies who watch this channel, but that girl there is not exactly attractive. You were actually being done a favor. If you guys saw my previous video on this topic, the video that I released earlier today at 1 p.m., chances are the girl you're seeing in the B-roll footage. Once again, we talked a little bit about her. We'll get back to her soon. I basically said that in that video there, in response to her, that the guy that she apparently broke up with, he was dodging one hell of a bullet. It may not look that way, but given some of the stuff she had said, yes, he was definitely dodging one hell of a bullet. We'll get back to that in a second. Something else, too, is that this guy, the one that you guys just saw, the one who just got rejected, apparently his TikTok says that he cooks, he cleans, he does all the things that any woman in the world would want. But the truth be told is, if you ask a woman what the perfect man is, she'll just turn right back around and basically just name another woman. I mean, seriously, guys, it's the Al Bundy quote. Only women understand one another, and they absolutely hate each other. Now, guys, I'm not doing this video to bash women, okay? That right there is not what I'm doing. This is not some manosphere channel or anything like that there. I'm just giving you guys my honest thoughts on this. And, of course, I'm also bringing up some of my own personal information. I talked about in the previous video how it is that the girl that you guys, that we're going to go ahead and rewatch some of that right now, got a few things wrong, and it kind of leads me to believe that she probably didn't really and truly break up with that guy, which is kind of going into my actual theory about this situation, that it's mostly just for clicks, but let me replay some of that for you.
Like, socially, I'm a liberal, but economically, I'm a Republican. Fuck that. Okay. Also, he was a 28-year-old man. That's the first red flag, because if there's a 28-year-old man and he's single, there's a fucking reason that he's single. But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like, what makes you, economically Republican? Because, like, I could give you a whole bunch of fucking facts right now that prove that you shouldn't be. And he was like, all of his info is from his friends. And I was like, you get all your information from your fucking redneck friends. Obviously, you can't trust them. You need to do the research yourself. And if you do the research, I told him, I was like, I'll support you based on your decision if you actually research it yourself. Like, I won't care if you're a Republican. But anyways, and so he was like, Zoe, I have much better things to do than research politics. Like, I have way more important things to do. Ah! Okay, saying that to me is absolutely fucking insane, but go off, king. I also just didn't care at that point. And so I kind of put it on the back burner. I was like, I can't fucking take this right now. Well, then we get into a little spat a couple days before election day, and we almost broke up. And so I was like, nah, it's fine, I'll give him one more chance, blah, 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 blah. Well, then election day rolls around, and, well, actually, before this, he was not registered to vote. He had never voted before, and he told me that he wanted to vote in this election, and I was like, okay, cool, do the research, but that's a whole other thing. And so the voter registration deadline was approaching. I could tell he was going to vote against me, let's just say it like that. And so I was like, he is not going to make an educated decision on who he votes for, so guess what? I'm not going to remind him of this voter registration deadline. So then it passed.
Single at 28 years old, red flag. Not okay with abortion. Oh, lives in Indiana, a distance from her. Been with him 5 months. Of course, you guys, I had to edit some of that down, but you may have heard her say that I kept on telling him over and over again he needed to do his research. He had never voted before. A lot of that just doesn't make any sense. And I talked about that in the previous video. By the way, the 28 and single bit, I tend to go with what Michael Sartan said a while back about this very issue. Now, he is more manosphere, but I do listen to him from time to time. But he says some very interesting stuff. And I think he nailed it. And let me just replay the clip with this bit here.
Feminists, I think it's just older women who just don't like, because one of the things that happens is there's two parts here. One, we're going to look at what they call the Peter Pan syndrome, where a man continues to. See, here's the thing. You're looking at the 50-year-old man and his wealth, and you're like, oh, well, he should have just got married at 32. What if he wasn't wealthy at 32? I can tell you a lot of guys, they become more established later in life, and they had to work really hard to get to that level of comfortability and wealth. And then all of a sudden they're like, you're selfish for not creating a family as soon as you can. When in reality, like during his early 20s, he had very few options with women. And now he has more because he's finally put on some muscle. He has some gray hair. Like he actually at some point in his life can afford a house, maybe 2 houses, maybe a car, things like that. He has some level of financial freedom. This is the first point in his life where he's actually turned into the 21-year-old hot girl.
This right here is going to create something a little bit later on that I'll get to here in a second and give you guys my theory. But this video right here is about why all this right here is actually a psyop. Now, guys, let me say this. As somebody who is, for the most part, socially conservative, pretty much on every single issue, I'm pretty well conservative or moderate right on some cases. I want to go ahead and say this right now. As a man, as a grown-ass man, I would prefer my wife to have values similar to mine or close to almost the same. They can't be exactly the same, because if they're completely the same, the next thing you know, you're going to find yourself either A, fighting with one another constantly because you two are so daggone alike, or B, you're going to find yourself in a situation where the relationship is just going to be boring. There's got to be a little bit of friction in there to keep things interesting. And also, let's just go ahead and be honest, and I understand that I run a pretty much family-friendly channel here, but let's be real. Sex after fights is actually quite good. Just going to go ahead and lay that out there. And by the way, I think that some ladies start fights for the sole purposes of basically getting, you know, rammed through the damn wall that night. But hey, look, that right there is just me. I don't want to piss off the censors or the algorithm or even the ladies, but hey, I had to say it. But still, the point is this right here. All of this just seems kind of fake. As in, like, oh, he doesn't align with my values. Well, first and foremost, the girl from Love is Blind was a blonde girl, white girl, obviously fence group, probably come from the suburban area. By the way, not all women are from suburbs. There's a lot of working class women out there who are actually good looking too. I mean, you don't really hear about them so much because the media doesn't prop them up, but of course they do in fact exist. Go to a church, you'll find a lot of women at the church who are trying to better their life. I mean, I'm not here to tell you guys where to find them at, but trust me, good women do in fact exist. But still at the same time, though, there are also a lot of 304s out there that exist as well. And it's probably best, well, if you're not in a position where you can date, you probably should listen to what Sartan said earlier. Get yourself in a position where you can actually afford it. Then, yeah, there you go. There's a great debate about whether you should get married early and versus late, stuff like that. I'm not going to really be touching on that there too, but I would love to hear what you guys have got to say in the comment section about that. But the point is this right here. Nothing about what you're seeing as far as women saying that they're done with their boyfriends who happen to be conservative, or they're breaking up with this person because they're conservative, or they feel it's perfectly justified to break up with somebody because they're conservative. I mean, by the way, some of these ladies aren't even actually attractive, but still, though, a lot of this just feels fake, and it feels to me like it's just being generated for clicks or other self-serving reasons. Do you guys remember a while back when the liberal girl went viral for saying that she could not find a man that was liberal who was actually masculine? Let me replay that clip for you guys.
As a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative. And obviously, as a liberal woman, I do want to be respected for my independence, and I do want to have my own autonomy in the relationship and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker, childbearing role. And most of the men that I've dated who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative. So I don't really know what to do, because I don't want to compromise my morals and values just to find a man. But am I asking to have my cake and eat it?
She's telling the truth. I would say that about 90% of men who vote Democrat or vote to the left, the vast majority of them, about 90%, are, for the most part, called soy boys because they kind of are soy boys. Male feminists themselves are the worst kind of men that there are. They don't have an actual genuine reason why they are, in fact, male feminists. It's normally so that way they can essay the girl a little bit later on. And then to go on top of that, you've also got the other crowd that, let's just say, would be perfectly fine with you aborting your child rather than actually being a man and raising your child. Now, gang, you guys obviously saw that clip. You guys obviously remember that bit because I've talked about that particular segment a while. And, of course, I'll talk about it again here in a second. But there was one more that I want to show you because there are some of these women who, quite frankly, will, in fact, become cat ladies. Crazy cat ladies. We make fun of it all the time. But then you get a case of the girl who actually doesn't seem to realize that she's fighting against her own biology. I normally don't agree with Sneeko on everything. I typically don't. But I do think when he was talking about Pokimane recently, this is a clip that I found on Twitter, he was actually telling the truth. And I'm no fan of Pokimane, but I do believe that Sneeko kind of got this correct.
I'm gonna date nice guys era. Ugh. I feel like I was brainwashed by those people that were like, nice guys finish last. Girls never want to date nice guys. And let me just tell you, that's a crock of shit.
You know, the annoying thing about Pokimane is she so obviously needs to date a conservative guy, but she's been streaming on Twitch for so long that she's literally resisting against her own biology. She's trying to be attracted to a libtard so bad, and everything about them is repulsive to women. So she is attracted to like the conservative misogynistic type that she's been pushing back against, but her Twitch masters just won't let her do it. And the unfortunate thing is, if she keeps following that path, she's going to end up childless because she will not be able to give children to that Redditor. It's too bad. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her.
Some women biologically need to be with somebody who's a little bit more conservative. And of course, I'm no real fan of that chick right there, even though I do believe the chick is cute, but obviously she's daggone bitchy as hell and she's got her own problems. And while I am not a big time fan of Sneeko, he's actually not lying. Some women will find themselves in the position where they'll pigeonhole themselves into becoming great old-fashioned cat ladies who never have children and never actually experience life with anybody outside their own home. Some of them are going to be like that, okay? I mean, think before you sleep, before he became think before you simp, and then he became think before you sleep again. He actually had a pretty good video on the same very topic where there was a 35-year-old woman who went to go see her family on Christmas, only to then turn right back around and get kicked, how do I say, out. And she was talking about how her Christmas was great, her eating leftover Chinese food. It was quite sad, to tell you the truth. You should be striving for some form of human emotion, some form of connection. That is what the hell you should be trying for. But of course, go back to the girl that I mentioned before, the one that actually went viral. Yeah, you have a hard time finding liberal men who are actually masculine. Which brings me to one final point. I touched on this in the previous video, and I'm going to go ahead and say this again, but I'm going to expand on it just a little bit further, so bear with me on this right here. Most women typically tend to become more conservative over time when they start seeing a man. Meaning that they actually start getting serious with a guy. They may get a guy who might be, let's just say, a little bit older than them. They tend to get a little bit more conservative over that. If they really truly want a man, then they'll start to adapt to some of his beliefs, or if they have an actual genuine connection, they will in fact begin to start changing just a little bit. Not completely, not a complete total 180. It's part of the reason why it is that when Jesse Waters did that bit a while back, and I even did a video on this about the women, he talked about you typically have to marry these women to get them conservative, because women typically don't tend to start voting Republican or become conservative until sometime after they've gotten serious with a guy who happens to be more conservative than themselves. Women oftentimes live within their own social circle, and living within their own social circle, obviously a lot of crazy beliefs are going to get kicked around. It's funny to see a pretty girl who has an extremely ugly friend, and yet the ugly friend finds a way to control the pretty girl. It's it's kind of funny to see, but eventually the girl does figure out that this person is in fact a drain on them, and they eventually walk away. Like I said before, you're going to have to actually make an approach, and you have to actually date some of these women to get them to shift back somewhat to the right and come back to reality. It's going to take some good old-fashioned, really, really good Salsicha. So yes, changes can be made through Salsicha. That is the best way for me to say Salsicha. I'll let you guys imagine what I'm saying, and I'm saying it because obviously the algorithm has a way of, the censors. And of course, the very, very few women that do watch this channel are extremely based, and I'm pretty sure that they're actually quite beautiful in real life. But still, at the same time, though, the point is this right here. Some situations, you can, in fact, get a woman to adjust, but of course, you're never going to actually really truly change. I probably should have said that there in the previous video when I talked about you can't change crazy. The fact of the matter is that they only get conservative somewhat over time, and they typically tend to get that way when they get in relationships. However, the thing is this right here. What you guys are seeing right now is, once again, nothing really and truly to take serious. It's just one great big giant psyop. Trust me, not that many women feel the way of what you just saw just now to start this video. And by the way, something else too, you'll always notice the trend with these women. They're either A, extremely beautiful yet extremely insufferable, or B, they are completely and totally, they look like feet. The very, very, very far left ones. You know, they basically look like a thumb, like Matt Gaetz said. However, that right there does lead me to one last point, and I'm not going to touch this issue for a while. I believe that you're about to see a massive, and I mean, I believe you're about to see a massive disparity in the dating age gap thing. Basically, what I'm saying is you're probably going to see a lot of men in their late 30s, early 40s, basically pulling the Leonardo DiCaprio. It won't be as bad, but they're probably getting a lot of women in their early to mid 20s. Now, those women there, they will, in fact, become conservative over time because they'll see that it is better to be with somebody who has actual resources rather than to be with somebody who is not. But that right there may be another video for another day. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say. Like I said before, all this crap that you're seeing right now, just one great big giant psyop. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments. I'll be back on Tuesday with the an explanation and breakdown of the Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James situation. Of course, we got to revisit that. And, of course, I need to talk about the Democrats, the left's Jasmine Crockett problem. So, yes, we're going to be doing politics at least one day this week. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Once again, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments. I'll see you guys later.